the Switch 2 was apparently shown behind closed doors to people at
Yeah, so there
Gamescom.
were a lot of these reports coming out of Gamescom, people being like, I've heard that Nintendo was demoing the Nintendo Switch successor or the Switch 2 for all intents and purposes at Gamescom to very select press.
Yeah.
And then a lot of like press who were there, from like big outlets were like, didn't hear about that like at all. Like very like not sure where this has come from, but we didn't hear about that. Nintendo had a stall, but we had no idea. Even Digital Foundry was like, we didn't see that, we didn't whatever.
Yeah.
But now Eurogamer and Video Games Chronicle have both said that they have spoken to people who did see it, or at least were there for the presentation.
Yeah.
So it was a tech demo that took place behind closed doors. Partners shown, so it was mainly partners. So this is more, I think, for third parties who
Yeah.
were shown what the Switch is being designed to run. And they were shown tech demos for what the system was capable of. According to Eurogamer here, one Switch 2 demo featured a souped-up version of The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, designed to hit Switch 2's beefier target specs. They are clear to stress that this is just a tech demo. There's no suggestion that Nintendo is working on a re-release of this game at this time. Also important to note that just because they say there were tech demos doesn't necessarily mean the actual console's there.
Yeah.
They were
It could
running
have
these
just been
demos.
videos.
No. It seems that they had a PC that was configured to their
to
target
that.
specs of what
Okay.
they think their next Switch will be capable of. The hardware is not confirmed or set in stone. So like these things are at a stage where everything's completely in flux.
Okay.
Like these are the sorts of dev machines that developers would get now so they can start preliminary work on the game and have a rough idea of what the Switch will target. And then as it gets closer to launch, that will hone in, and they will have a much better idea of you're going to have exactly this amount of RAM, exactly this,
Yeah.
So I wouldn't take the performance of what is being reported here as gospel to what we will
Actually see.
get in the end product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very important to stress that because like early dev machines are not the console. When the
Yeah.
consoles actually started to be built, then you start brushing up against maybe things that actually increase performance, but more likely than not things that limit it because of the form factor or limitations that weren't present because you weren't actually working with the actual hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that said, VGC also reported that there was a demo where the target hardware was running the Matrix Awakened Unreal Engine 5 demo,
Right.
which only runs on current gen consoles, which is kind of fucking insane.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was running with the aid of DLSS and all sorts of stuff, which could suggest that the next Switch will support DLSS, which is probably correct, given that it will probably remain on an NVIDIA chipset, and now it will have support for that stuff. So
nice.
That will definitely allow them to at least run games that are on current gen consoles on the Switch, because DLSS is definitely going to help to that degree.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently development kits are now in the hands of key partners. Yeah, there's no indication that this is going to launch any sooner than originally reported, and that would be, the widespread rumors that it's end of next year that this console is coming out,
which I think is
would
fair.
make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I think that makes tons of sense. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I think, will we get a Nintendo Switch 2 reveal before the end of the year? I think not. I think, if anything, and I don't even think that it will happen then because that's not very Nintendo-like, but like a tease at the Game Awards. But I don't think Nintendo really needs it. I think there will just be a day where there's going to be a fucking tweet dropped and like, hey, in the next few days, we're going to talk about the future of the Switch.
Yeah, like a direct or whatever.
Yeah. And that's going to, I wouldn't be shocked if it's like early next year,
do we have any doubts that the Switch 2, I mean, we're calling it the Switch 2, that it's going to be the same hybrid mobile/home console?
Apparently it is. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of rumors, again, from people who were privy to these tech demos, or at least have gotten details from Nintendo with dev kits, have said it is a hybrid console again.
Uh,
Um,
I think it would be
yeah.
very silly of Nintendo to not have a hybrid system. Like, I can't see.
I think it would be very silly of Nintendo not to have backwards compatibility,
Oh, no, no,
which
no. Yeah.
hasn't been spoken about yet.
No,
Which
no,
is
yeah,
like,
100%. But my thing is, like, I can't see a future where in 2, 3, 4 Nintendo consoles time that they go, oh, we're done with handheld. We're going straight back to home console only. Like, maybe I'm wrong. I just think the Switch has been such a wild success that it has prompted, indirectly or inadvertently, the likes of a Steam Deck, because it's shown that, like,
oh yeah,
mobile gaming, there's
absolutely.
definitely a
Yeah.
market for that. I mean, and this
I mean, you're
is,
seeing that Lenovo Steam Deck thing that is basically like a PC Switch now. Like, it's definitely the form factor that people want
yeah,
now. So
yeah.
I just wonder because every Nintendo console has had something like pretty unique gimmick,
Oh,
well, not
yeah.
gimmick, but like gimmicky
No, this is
wise
something,
and
yeah.
like hardware wise. Like, what does the Switch do to differentiate itself from that? Or are we in an era now where that is not the Nintendo anymore? Because like Iwata was kind of like behind that push for a very long time. Like,
Mm,
oh, the Wii had motion controls, and the Wii U had, the tablet thingy,
yeah.
and now Switch was a hybrid console, and this, the Switch was kind of the last thing he put into motion.
Yes.
So I wonder now if the hierarchy at Nintendo are like, well, the Switch sold so stupidly well, we don't
Don't
really
break
want to
it,
take a
yeah.
risk on something. Let's just make it more powerful and move on. Yeah.
Nintendo come out, say it's a 3-in-1. It's a home console, handheld, and VR goggles. You can strap the Switch 2 to your head. Oh.
It's also an Alexa powered kettle.
For one very specific fan of ours.
Yeah.
we got,
We
got you
heard the
covered.
needs of one man in the UK
We got
who
you
needed his
covered.
tea while playing Zelda.
My God. Yeah, all that said, I'm very excited to see a Switch 2. Like, I've absolutely loved my Switch. I'm
Same.
there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other pieces of news. Starfield, which we were talking about earlier, has hit 6 million players and has become the biggest Bethesda game launch ever. And this little sub caption here, stellar. Never change, Eurogamer. You're just the best.
Just chef's kiss.
I love
Too
it.
good.
Too good. But yeah, good on. I mean, I would be shocked if this game didn't have millions of players, like, because Bethesda's side, it is also on Game Pass, which will obviously give it a healthy boost of active players. But yeah, it's quite crazy. Like, I wonder what this game will cap out at, or where does it sort of peak? Like, are we gonna hit 10, 15 million players or beyond, and like, how long will it take to get there? But like, what blew my mind, I don't know. Sorry, quickly, what blew my mind is that there was an early access period where you could pay X amount to play the game a week early, basically. $100, and there were a lot of people playing that early access, which means a lot of people paid.
Over 300,000 people just on Steam playing
which
it.
Is, yeah. I mean, that's
no, it's nuts. It's crazy. It was the 5th best concurrent launch on Steam this year, and it was only people who had paid the essentially almost double the price of $100
just for those few
early.
days of early access. So people,
it's
like,
crazy. It's
Game
crazy.
Pass aside, people are out here buying this game as well. So.
This is the thing that Eurogamer notes. They say, like, this 6 million suggests that Bethesda game has never hit 6 million players in such a quick time frame. And players is such a weird way to measure that, because now Xbox has to measure it in terms of players, because they can't say sales.
Yeah.
Because that would omit Game Pass. So now they've completely shifted the metric to players. But like, as Eurogamer notes, on the one hand, it's done so with the help of Xbox Game Pass, which everyone will be quick to point at. But on the other, it's done so without anyone on PlayStation. So Skyrim, Fallout 4 launched on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. So for it to be one platform less and still reach this time frame shows that A, Game Pass is working, and B, keeping it exclusive did not impact this game, at all. In the way that people thought it would, or the way that people maybe hoped it would. It's cool. People love Bethesda games, and they love. It also just shows that, like, who is looking at reviews. I don't know who like the reviews were good, but there were a lot of like, oh, you should be careful. And like reviews are important to critique games, no doubt. But like, would they have had any impact on these launch figures? I don't think so.
I also don't think so.
So yeah, Phil Spencer also noted that Starfield had exceeded 1 million concurrent players across all platforms, including Steam. Around 250,000 players have been playing Starfield on Steam at its daily concurrent user peak, a figure which hasn't changed much since it launched via early access last week. Yeah, wild. I think Starfield's going to be a big game for
100%.
Microsoft.
Yeah, it's gonna.
And I think the sort of like the sort of sentiment you see on social media is not indicative of the wider sentiment of this game. Yeah.
So I completely bounced away from Nintendo, and I only just realized that there was more Nintendo news. It's my bad. But Nintendo, well, Zelda producer says there are no plans for a Tears of the Kingdom DLC, which is fun.
Yeah,
I played the Breath of the Wild DLC with great excitement, and then ended with great meh. It was
bad.
It was
real bad.
Yeah. Like, not your fault.
I wouldn't say bad. It was just highly disappointing.
It was very disappointing. It was
given what it was promising.
It's like, ooh, more stories on the champions and this, and it's like, it wasn't really that at all. It was hardly. It's more like, there's a snippet of story. Go do some shrines or something, and have another snippet of story. That's it. Tears of the Kingdom. I'm still Archer chipping away. Great time.
Yeah, I'm having a good time with it. I'm also chipping away when I can because I'm trying not to take a long break from it again and forget what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
But man, I'm just really having a good time. I'm not building as much stuff. I don't think I've vibed with that system as much as I thought I would. But I'm just having a great time again, just exploring and like, oh, I'm going in this direction. Oh, I'm going in that direction. Oh, there's a dragon flying in the air. I know that's going to be something. I just don't want to. I've come across so many of these like fucking Hydra dragons around the world that absolutely annihilate me. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'll figure that out later.
Come back,
yeah, I found now the little Temple of Time, which maps out all the glyphs that have the tiers. So I'm busy doing that and piecing together the backstory of what's going on.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm now currently, the last thing I played was, remember in the one region there's that like maze, like a stone maze. With like a shrine in the middle. So I did that. But there's now a maze, like a mirrored one in a sky temple thing above me, and I have no clue how to get up there. And I'm trying to figure out how I get up there. Because I cannot, for the life of me, understand how to get up there.
Those sky islands are hilarious because it is a thing of like, how do I get up there?
Yeah, I'm just... And there's a side quest because I pressed a button in the maze and it's like a door is opened in a maze above you. And I'm like, oh, crap. Like, how do I... I also fought for the first time one of those little gloom things with the lots of little hands.
The hands. Terrifying.
Yes. And then the boss comes afterwards and boy, did he wreck my shit. Wow.
The first time those hands appeared, it was genuinely very terrifying. It's like,
terrifying because they just rush you and they grab you constantly.
The sky gets dark and then the music changes. I was like, what is going on? I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot of hands coming over for a handshake.
Have you found that massive tunnel that goes from that little lookout city all the way underneath Hyrule Castle?
I think I have. It does ring a bell.
Yeah, because I went there for like a side quest where I found this like statue who can swap out health and stamina.
That was actually in the base game as well.
I just carried on. Yeah, it was in the base game. Yeah. And I carried on down this path, and eventually I just emerged in Hyrule Castle. And I was like, "What the?
That's amazing.
Where? This has just been here the whole time." Like,
it's too good.
Pretty cool. And I got some cool armor from there, so yeah, it was good.
Nice.
Game's good.
Yeah, I love it. I'm still chipping away and having a great time. Let's bounce to Final Fantasy quickly. Final Fantasy 16 is coming to PC after all, and there's new story DLC on the way. This announcement made me laugh because this was from Gamescom as well, right? Or not Gamescom, it was Where was it announced? Doesn't matter.
I
It
don't
was
know if it
it
was
was
just like this
it was
special
PAX West. Sorry, that's it. Not Gamescom. PAX West. I think they had
PAX West. Okay.
a panel, and then I mean we knew there was PlayStation exclusivity for a while, I think, but it was just straight up. Okay, the game is coming to PC. Also, there's DLC coming.
Yeah.
And
I feel like they've always said it's coming to PC,
I
but
also
that they
thought
just
so.
haven't started working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they at one stage say there would be no story DLC, or
I'm
was
not
that a fever
sure.
dream?
Yeah.
I could have
I'm not
sworn it's
sure if
like
they said there
no,
wouldn't be.
the story's done, like that's that, and then it's like no, there's DLC.
I wouldn't be shocked by that. And then now they've seen that maybe the game sold, well, according to Square Enix, it sold worse than they expected. But maybe anyway. I'm happy that this paid story DLC. I do wonder what sort of breadth of scope this will have. Like, will it be like a Final Fantasy 15 episode of Joshua or episode Jill?
Yeah. I also
Or
don't know.
if
Like,
they go that route, what two characters would you want? Because they said it's two. So
I also did wonder if it's not because the game obviously has a lot of history behind it, like all the events leading before the main story. There are hundreds of years.
yeah,
Like, I
good
do
point.
wonder, do they dive into, I don't know, the past, and then there'll be some protagonist who does some stuff, and then there's a what I'm looking for. There's like a, I just can't think of the word. Like when they get like not a fortune, it's like you
premonition.
like a premonition, or they get a something of like, oh, there will be 2 fire icons, and then it'll roll credits. Go, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if they do one of those. They go back into the past, and then
that's got me thinking. Like, it's a really good idea. You could have like an episode where you are playing as Clive's father.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you read so many like codex entries about like his fights against I can't remember who it was, but like to reclaim like their homestead that they're at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
And stuff like that, and losing their mother crystal in the process and stuff like that. So that could definitely be a big one.
The word I was looking for was prophecy. I was like, I just could not think
Prophecy.
of the word prophecy.
But that one would work super well because it could be maybe his father sees a premonition of like 2 fire icons, and that's why he like fosters both of his sons in a very
like there's a lot of material
nice
they could
way.
play with.
I 100% want an episode Sidolphus.
Oh yes, please. I'm there.
That has to be one of them. There is no fucking way you give a character like Sid and then not explore him more.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
he also has a history. He's done so much.
Yeah, I mean, they could do a lot of stuff with him.
The establishment of the rebels. Oh man, I also just want to hear more of his voice. So, yeah.
That guy, it's too good.
Yeah, I'm keen. I'm definitely keen.
Last 2 pieces of news. So E3 continues to fall apart is the headline of this article.
The Verge being very dramatic, but also quite accurate.
But the long and the short of it is that while the ESA was supposed to work with ReedPop for E3 this year, things started to fall apart when companies like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo dropped out of the show. Now GamesIndustry.biz reports that the ESA and ReedPop have made the mutual decision to exit their multi-year deal. RIP.
Yeah, so ReedPop, who would probably be the best company to kind of revive E3 given all of the work they do with PAX, a expo that every single year people say is incredible and fun and the right amount of press and public focused, when they were announced to be working with the ESA on E3, there was actually some glimmer of like hope, like, okay, maybe the ESA is actually given the reins to people who can actually sort this shit out. But that's no longer the case. ReedPop have exited. No idea who the ESA is going to get to replace them. But the ESA basically confirmed for real that there is no E3 2024 expo happening at the Los Angeles Convention Center. So they stopped short of saying an expo at all. They just said it won't happen at the LACC for sure next year because, hey, they never booked it. So now they've lost their booking.
Yeah.
They did say that, well, the Los Angeles City and Tourism Commission doesn't expect E3 to come back in 2025 either, but the ESA hasn't canceled that one just yet.
Yeah.
So the ESA says they're planning a complete reinvention of E3 for 2025. So that tells me they've definitely canceled 2024 already.
Yeah.
Which means I wonder where Nintendo shows off its fancy Switch 2.
Jeff Keighley salivating at this exclusive
Yeah.
opportunity.
Essentially. Well, Nintendo took all of their money from, not going to E3 this year and did a thing in Seattle just this past week at PAX. They did I think it was called Nintendo Live, and it was like an expo separate to PAX at the same time. And they just poured all of the money, the budget they had there, and apparently it was phenomenal. People got to play Super Mario Wonder. It was really well organized. Maybe they just do one of their own expo again.
Yeah. Who knows? And their last piece of news: Diablo 4 DLC expansions will be. Diablo 4 will get a new expansion every year. Blizzard confirms that it's going after Destiny 2's release model. Makes sense.
Yeah, a bit of a wild one.
I mean,
Diablo in the past has always been one big expansion and that's it.
Yeah.
This almost sounds like seasons, which they already have. They're already doing content seasons anyway. But Destiny did do its annual expansions to varying degrees of success.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rod Ferguson confirmed this in an interview that, yeah, they're going to do annual expansions and continue going for this very live service feel to Diablo. So I will say that after finishing Diablo 4's campaign, I feel good with that game. I've not checked in on the new seasons because I feel no compulsion to just grind away at more stuff for the purpose of seasons. But if an expansion comes through with new new areas and new story content, then yeah, I'll play that. Sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I did with Destiny. I played between expansions and didn't really play much
between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still need to get to Diablo 4. One day.
Good game. I think it's a good game.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, on that note, that is news for this week. It's news for this week.